Hi everybody, it's Audrey back again to share another process video with you. Today I'm working with a sketch from a French blog I found called Scrapidees, and they're having a summer contest, sketch contest going on, so I thought I would enter, and I am doing the next sketch in the contest, so this is it. And I'll put a link to their blog down below. So here's my photo I'm working with. I know that the sketch has two photos, but I really wanted to work with this photo because the other element we had to incorporate was something green. So my photo had a lot of green in it. So I went through my stash and pulled out some papers that I thought would work with this particular photo. I have a whole bunch in there from the from the Maggie Holmes Shine collection, and some other basic gray ones, and just others I pulled from my stash. I've cut a piece of white cardstock for the center, and by looking at the sketch, I knew that I saw a lot of the kind of painted elements in there, kind of like a mixed media, so I went with a mixed media approach on this page. So I first added some water to my page, and then with a paintbrush, and then took a mist. I believe that first color was called Leaf Green. It's a Mr. Hueys, and I just added it on with a paintbrush. And now I'm going over it again with a darker green called Tannenbaum, which is also a Mr. Hueys. And finally a Mr. Hueys clay color. And the clay is a little bit of a brownish color, and I'm just kind of blending that in with the other greens on the page. And I use some of the paintbrush, and then I go through and add some splatters. And now I'm just setting it with the heat gun, which I know is boring and it takes a while, and sometimes when I really soak the page, I also try to dry off the back a little bit because you can see where some of the spots are coming through, and I think that helps it dry faster. So just adding a few more drops here of that Tannenbaum green. And now I am working with a stencil, and this particular stencil kind of was like a zebra pattern. This is an old stencil. I don't even know where it came from. It was probably one of the first things I ever had. I originally wanted to use modeling paste and went to my modeling paste and realized I had left the cap off and it was completely dry. So I'm trying gel medium here, and it doesn't work. It was just it had a little bit of texture, but not enough to even make it worth it. So I'll go back and add in some other things, as you'll see. So I am putting this 9x9 square that I've painted onto a frame or a larger background piece, which is 12x12, and I've cut off the center to save for another project. And I'm just trying to continue that mist, that painting look on the edges of the background paper. And I put my original 9x9 square up there to see kind of where the paint came off that square, and tried to kind of line it up with the background as well. And I used the same colors again, did the same technique. I think I also added in some yellow, which was an old Glimmermist, and I think it's called Lemon. That's the name of the color. So I went back to here and added some of that gel medium, but again, once it dries, it just didn't show up or stand off well enough. So I go through and actually add some paint in a little bit. So I'm now trying to map my photo and find some papers that help make it stand off against the background. I absolutely love the way that the paint background came out. It kind of reminds me of camouflage, which was perfect for what I was going for. I am using this basic gray Urban Luxe ephemera pack and going through and pulling out some bits from it. I noticed that that arrow right there was kind of like a cheetah print, and of course, again, goes with the theme of my page. We were at Busch Gardens at the zoo, so the kids were roaring like lions and tigers. Okay, so here I am going back and making those using that stencil again, but this time I'm using my gelatos with that gold and the dark brown and just mixing it with some white gesso, and you can actually see it stand out a little bit better here. It's kind of like a beige or a light tan color, going over the same areas that I had gone over with the gel medium, which again didn't really show up well, but I liked the subtle look of this paint a little bit better. So once all that dried, it's time to go back and put all my little bits on, using my edge distressor as usual to kind of to rough up the edges around my papers behind my photo. And I'm using some of these bits of ephemera to go behind and around my photo, and I'm trying to keep the design flowing from the top left down to the bottom right to kind of make your eye travel across the page that way. And I love that zebra. That's from the Heidi, or I keep saying Heidi Swapp, I don't know why. The Maggie Holmes Shine Chipboard from the Shine collection. Okay, so I'm roughing up the edges of this centerpiece here. And I wanted to add a little bit more dimension, so I'm going to pop this center square off of the background square. And I have these long foam strips that I'm cutting in half because they're a little too wide. I don't think they'll completely fit on the back. So I've just cut the thinner strips and pop that off the back. And I love the way that that looks with that added dimension. I've pulled a few other sticker sheets from my stash that had black and white or gray or beige elements, and I'm just kind of putting them around the page here. This is some washi tape from the new Hall Pass collection from American Crafts, and I'm just using strips of it and have ripped the washi tape in half and added some washi tape to the top and the bottom to kind of help frame it in a little bit. And now I'm just gluing on all the little bits. I had already, when you work with a sketch, it seems to be so much easier, for me anyway, to get a page done because, you know, the sketch helps guide you to where you should put the embellishments and gives you an idea. Of course, mine isn't exactly like the sketch, but you can definitely see where mine, how it resembles the sketch. Those were some stickers from Simple Stories Carpe Diem line, and I think that one says, "Take a ride on the wild side." It was perfect. So I went back and added a couple more splatters of a darker green mist, and I cut off a title from my silhouette with a darker blue, the same blue that I added behind the photo mat, and I'm just popping that title off with some pop dots. I can't remember the name of the font that I used, but I love trying to find kind of brushy, scripty like fonts to cut with the silhouette. Just adding the date with my date stamp to the top, which I try to do on every single page. And then I wanted the white piece to stand out even more, so I decided to, I was going to originally machine stitch on it, but because I had popped it up with the foam, I couldn't machine stitch over it now. So I decided just to go in and add some faux stitching with a Sharpie. And then just adding in some journaling, and then that's it. And here's a few close-ups of all the layers and the little bits that I added. And there you can see the stenciling a little bit better. Thanks so much for watching today, and hope you enjoyed this video.